Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Mod, presented by Okashicon, and I am going to do some introductions. I'm Olive. I mod the Austin, Texas community, and I'm going to let my fellow co-mod introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. My name's Susie. I am a moderator for the Houston Lolita community.
Awesome. So it looks like we are one mod short tonight, but we got a lot of great questions from everyone, so we will get started with those.
I'm so excited. Y'all had some really good questions.
Ah, Jerica! Awesome.
Wait, can you
Erica!
repeat me?
And
Can you
I'm
hear
gonna
me?
let Jerica also introduce
Hello?
herself.
Yep, we can
Hello?
hear you, Jerica.
Awesome, we can hear you.
Okay. Cool. Oh, wow. Wait. Hi, I'm Jerica. I was like, wait, what's happening?
Do you want to do a little introduction?
Yeah, so I am a moderator for the Metroplex Lolita community. And I became a mod because I wanted my community to improve and get better.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to those questions. We got some really great submissions from everyone. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
going
if you want to ask questions, if you have other questions, please feel free to post in the chat. We are watching that. We're going to answer the questions we received from the forum first, but we are definitely interested in hearing from y'all and just communicating with the chat today. So please keep us posted.
awesome. Okay, so our first question. What are some ways in keeping a community safe, especially for minors in the community? How can we make sure everyone is following the guidelines and prevent any issues?
Starting off on a hard one, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a good one, but
That's a real question.
that's a yeah, those are some deep questions. Um, so in the Austin community, we'll often have parents join, um, and they will ask us for like, hey, my daughter or son or whoever is interested, um, what do you recommend? And we do recommend that if you are a minor, that your parent comes with you, so we feel comfortable and they feel comfortable that they can just see just pretty much how it goes. And it makes me as a moderator feel more comfortable if there's a parent with them. So I please, yes, if you are a minor, your parent is welcome. They can sit in the corner and read their book. It just makes me feel safer about you being there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the important thing is making sure everybody feels safe, and that, everybody's just being respectful, and that we're making sure with the minors specifically, there are some ways of engaging with other community members at events that maybe if a parent is not there, it might be a little awkward or it might be a little strange. So I agree. I think having the parents at the events is a great way to do it, especially if it's a bigger event. Those are great times to have lots of people join, with parents included. Conventions are another way. I know we were talking about that earlier. That conventions are a great way to get into the community and interact with folks in the community, but in a way that is, on your own schedule, right? Because when you're at the convention, you can come in and participate where you want, sit at the panels, go to the swap meets, do all the fun stuff there. But you can then exit. You can leave whenever you want to. You can kind of just come in and observe and be as engaged or as not engaged as you want to be and still have that interaction.
So yeah, I think you guys both put it like in a very good way in that we definitely want, if there are minors there, their parents should join. I'm not sure for you guys' community, but out here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, we actually had to make a rule that no one in the com can be under the age of 15. And there was a reason for that. We did have a situation with like a 12-year-old. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, she was quite young, and it got into the point of like this person's mom was dropping them off to meets and then just
Oh,
leaving.
wow.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so dangerous. And like, not that, you know, our community, none of our communities, right, are a place that we feel is unsafe for children. But that at that point, it wasn't like, you know, I had a sit down meeting with this person's mom and she's like, okay, here are the emergency contact phone numbers, here is XYZ. And so in that instance, we really did just have to enact that age requirement, just because it's like, at least at that age, you know, a lot of 15, 16-year-olds have their permits, they have their driver's license. So if they do attend meets on their own, like they're more self-sufficient. So, you know, yeah, I definitely think having the parents participate, having them go to meets that, you know, like, when we have meets, we will specifically say, okay, this meet is at a bar. You have to
Mhm.
be 21 to
Yeah.
come. So definitely, you know, keeping minors safe, in that if you're going to have those kinds of meets, like, it needs to be very, very upfront and honest. This is where we're going,
Mhm.
followed by this. And I think that also helps keep minors safe, by having like event pages, because all of that information is there. So if mom needs to take a look and be like, oh, okay, you know, where's the meetup, what time are they meeting, you know, that kind of thing, all of that information is readily available. I do know some communities, you know, can put together meets over Instagram. It's a group chat and they just go through it
Yeah.
like that. But for me, I feel like having that researchable information, yeah, I'm with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
That
can't
seems
operate like that. I can't operate like
we
that.
do have a Discord, but
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
be honest, as a mod, having a meets over like planning them over like a
Mhm.
chat app seems I prefer
Exactly.
Facebook. It's got all the information like you said. Like
Exactly.
I don't want anyone to feel like
Right.
they don't have
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
one thing
And
I think some people forget is that
mhm.
we're all just a bunch of like fashion nerds coming together
Exactly.
as like
Also
we're not
volunteer.
professionals, we're
Yeah.
No.
volunteers. We're just all coming together and as a moderator, you know, our role isn't like to be this like organization that is, you know, outreach and you know, we do some of that, but
Right.
really our role is just kind of to facilitate having a
Mhm.
community space and making sure that it's safe and that people are, you know, following the guidelines and that I mean that's like we're volunteering when we have meets together it's somebody says hey I want to go do this thing and unless it's a big event that we're planning like an ILD event it's usually just we're all going to go hang out at this spot together so you know as it kind of some people like to look at the official organized meets as almost this you know like a convention event and it's you know
Mhm.
it's we're not a professional
Yeah.
organization you know we're just
Oh,
volunteering together so we do the best we
absolutely.
can but we do rely on the community to have that kind of judgment
Mhm.
and to also meet us halfway and understand that there are going to be certain circumstances that don't
Mhm.
fit for you whether that's
Mhm.
because you're a
Mhm.
minor and it would be you know a little interesting to coordinate that or whether you know it's an event that just doesn't work for you personally the menu or the location you know we try to do the best we can but you know at the end of the day we're all just you know nerds together
The
getting
Exactly.
together
next
yeah
Exactly.
the next question I think fits in perfectly with what you were talking about, Susie.
Mhm.
So, how does modding a community work? I can imagine it can be very busy and tiring work. How do you keep up with members and making sure that all their questions and concerns are handled? This is I told you, this is the perfect follow-up question.
Yeah,
yeah
truly
great
it
segue
is. Right,
Um,
exactly.
so in ATX, we like the basic modding responsibility is that to join our community, we have a survey that people have to fill
Mhm.
out. And we don't want to
Mhm.
feel like we're excluding people, but it's a basic survey to be like, are you interested in this? Are you a real person? And how did you
And
hear
not a
about
bot.
us? Yeah, are you not a bot? Are you not a creep? Like
Exactly.
as like we use our judgment and we whoever asks to join, we go through your profile. We want to make sure you're a real person. Are you interested in this? We just want to see anything on your profile that's like, yeah, I'm into something, anime or cute fashion or cute stuff, just so we can make sure that you are someone that's coming in here for not nefarious purposes, because that does happen. Like, we get bots that we're like, ooh, I don't know why you're joining us, but I know you are not a real person, so I'm not going to approve this.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of the number one thing is monitoring who's coming in, making sure that they seem to have a legitimate reason to be in the community. And again, we don't want to be exclusionary at all. We are super, open. We want everybody who is interested to join us. But especially around, J fashion communities in general, there has some opportunity there for some people to, like you said, nefarious purpose, right? They come in and they have an ulterior motive for joining, and as a mod, that's kind of, our job is to try to protect the community as much as we can from that. And so, we do the same thing. We have a screening survey, and we ask, just some basic questions like, why are you interested in the fashion? My favorite is when people just reply yes.
Okay, that's what I feel. Yes.
Not really, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and we ask for do you live in the Houston area? Because our community is in Houston, or at least do you visit? Why are you interested in Houston specifically? And then we ask them to name 2 Lolita brands, and it can be any brand, but just kind of show us that you have at least some familiarity with it. And from our perspective, if you're really interested, if you're brand new and you don't know any, like a quick Google search, and you can throw the biggest brands, you could throw in indie brands, whatever. We just want to make sure that you are coming in because you belong here, as someone who's interested in the fashion, not someone who's trying to turn it into a cash cow and sell things. Not someone who's trying to take advantage of the community, and not bots and spam and all of that stuff, which unfortunately in an online environment, you have to watch out for that kind of thing.
Yeah, so again, you guys just completely hit the nail on the head, honestly. I'll say it's not so much that it's tiring and busy, but more so it's just navigating a lot of, I don't know, social nuances,
Yeah.
navigating a lot of the fact that there are so many people from so many different backgrounds, and kind of just trying to get through those waters. And then also, it's just a running joke that I've heard with other mods is sometimes it's like herding cats, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you guys, we got to do this thing. Let's do this thing, y'all. And then it's like, but here's a bunch of cats and they went that way. Now we got to reel them back in, come back to the group, guys, that kind of thing. And so yeah, I wouldn't so much say that it's busy, because it's really not, especially as far as Facebook groups goes. Because people get on there, they post, they say what they got to say, and then they keep it pushing. And so very rarely is it something to where, in the example of Closet of Frills, where when you post, it has to be approved by us. For my community anyway. I don't know. I know other communities operate differently. But in my community, I am not gonna know. I'm not. And so I think that sometimes is where it kind of gets tiring, and that it's some when you mod, you have to decide your level of involvement. You have to decide at what point is the line between my role as a moderator for the community, my role as a community member as well, and then my role as just Jerica in everyday life. I think that's kind of where it gets tiring, because sometimes those lines cross and you don't really want them to.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's that stress of trying to navigate that. But otherwise, even with a fairly active community, if there isn't constant just completely crazy off the wall stuff, most moderators log on, they'll look at a post, somebody might be like, oh, look at my new cord. You like it, you keep scrolling. It's
Yeah.
the same thing as being a member. You just have a little bit more
Mhm.
administrative things that you do for the community. So it's I wouldn't say it's particularly difficult. But I would say that those social nuances and dealing with those things is what can make it difficult.
Yeah, and I will say there are some times that are challenging,
Yes, absolutely.
operationally speaking,
Hmm.
like Jericho was saying, for me, it's just, watching what's going on, just kind of
Yeah,
keeping an eye on it to make
Mhm.
sure that nothing crazy's going down, that
exactly.
if people are putting inappropriate comments or like things are starting to get out of hand, that we just, turn
Mhm.
off the comments and that
Try
kind
to
of thing.
avoid, right.
And and we're pretty lucky. I mean, I'm a member of all of y'all's comms too. So, I don't think we have a ton of that going on. So it doesn't
Luckily,
No.
no.
happen very often. But
Mhm.
there are situations. I mean, I have had situations in the past where you have some interpersonal stuff going on, or there's some craziness. And as a
Mhm.
moderator, you have to deal with it. Like you
Yeah,
have to be involved. You have to know what's going on, and you also have to
absolutely.
be impartial, which can be really hard if you are friends with people in the community. You have to take a step back and, put your mod hat on and,
Mhm.
look at it from, it's almost like being a boss, right?
A
Like you have to look at
supervisor,
it from
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
this
yeah.
perspective of what's the situation, what are our constraints here, what are the different actions we can take, and then you have to try to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community, which sometimes
Mhm.
can be difficult. But I agree with you. I don't think it's very tiring. But I will say there are some times where I'm crazy busy, especially around ILD when we're trying to put together those big meets and just
Oh,
everything is going
yeah.
insane.
Yep,
But I think all of us probably agree we love
Y
it. And that's the reason
yeah.
why we volunteered for this, because we want to make
absolutely.
awesome events and want to make a community awesome for our comm
Our
members.
members,
So
right.
we're willing to put that in, and it's not tiring, it's rewarding.
Well, speaking of tiring and rewarding, next question. As a mod, do you ever feel responsible for a lull in activity? We just keep rolling on these.
Yeah,
Um,
it's good, it's good.
so I don't know about y'all, but
Mhm.
I feel like some people, especially the newer members in my community,
Uh-huh.
they feel like a mod is the only one who can make the event. And not because we tell them that or we
Mhm.
try and do that, but like I feel like they get scared or they think it's harder than it is. And it is work.
Mhm.
Like it is like we've put a lot of work. All of us have put a lot of work into events that like have been tiring but so rewarding.
Yeah.
So I personally do feel a little responsible, but I do try and keep like making reminder posts like anyone can do
Mhm.
this, you can make your own
Mhm.
event because I personally wish that people would make more events.
Mm.
So I do feel a little bit of personal responsibility for that, but I'm not mad about it. I kind of I would it's fun to make your own event and I think I
Yeah.
wish more people would try it out. It's a
Yeah.
learning experience.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, same with our community. Anybody can make an event, and I would love more people to do that. And
Mhm.
you do find that some people either they just don't feel comfortable, they're
Mhm.
not quite the extrovert that I
Mhm.
might be, or they just aren't really sure how to do it. So I agree with you. I feel some responsibility for it, and I think this whole global panini that we're in right now has really
The panini.
been it's been an interesting time to navigate this, right? Because in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
past, the big activity that we were responsible for was really, events, and we would have
Mhm.
meets and we would do them every so often. And how do we transition that into a virtual only?
Mhm.
And that has been very challenging
Yes.
for my community
Mhm.
specifically. So I agree with you. Like I feel that responsibility, but it's also been so challenging in these times. And and I go back to what I said earlier, where we're volunteers, right? Like this isn't my
Right.
Yes.
job. I have a job
Exactly.
outside of this, and like a lot of people in this situation, it's affecting me personally. And so I've
Mhm.
had to take time for my own mental health too. And I hope that everyone in the community understands that kind of thing, but I've been in situations in the past where people just kind of have this expectation that you're the mod, so
Mhm.
you should
Yeah.
be doing all this stuff. But it's it's a brave new world for us.
It really is.
Yeah. So I'll say that when I first became a mod, I did. I felt very responsible because that was part of the reason why I became a moderator.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When I requested to be a mod of the Dallas community, I had gone to two meets,
Mm.
and the second meet had was something that yeah, it was my second meet ever. And I was just like, "Oh my god, like we have nothing. What's going on? It's been like 6 months since I've
Yeah.
seen any of these people. Yeah, Dallas Com like we experienced a very big like lull. It was just like
Mhm.
no activity whatsoever. And so I was like, "Okay, like if we want our community to stay alive, like we have to do something."
Yeah.
Um and so when I first became a mod, it was something that I pushed a lot. Like, hey, you don't have to ask for permission. Make a meet. It's cool. Just do it. Share, invite people. Let people know this is what I want to do. That kind of thing. Make a meet. It's cool. Go for it. And so now that the mod team has kind of been all of us have been mods for at least a year at this point. All of us have kind of established that communication with the community. Dallas Com really makes their own meats. It's great.
Y'all do. I see
I
it. I see it
know.
monthly.
It's fantastic. Even with COVID, like I
Yeah.
was so
Yes.
freaking proud of them. Like, oh my god, like they're so self-sufficient. Like
Mhm.
I sing praises of the Dallas community all day every day because like they took it and they ran with it. So they even with COVID, they were like, "Hey y'all, let's have a virtual crafting meet. Let's do that. Let's have
Mhm.
a virtual book club meet." So like even with the pandemic, like they were
Mhm.
still like, "Let's find ways." And so I never had to, which was good for me because I had gotten a new job and I had a lot of personal stuff going on. So like I'm so thankful for them because they do manage themselves very well. But in saying that, like Olive said earlier, we still do get those new people that are like
Mhm.
they'll message me, Jerica, is it okay if I make an event page for
You're
do that?
like,
And I'm like,
"Please,
please
please,
do,
please."
please,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
do it. Absolutely. Or like something that's kind of been taking off in the community lately is midweek meets.
Mm.
Which I will be taking advantage of because my job schedule is about to
Mhm.
change and I'll be off in the middle of the week. But like previously, meets in the middle of the week didn't do very well because all of us were off on weekends. But now, lately, they've been, gaining some traction and people are going, having meets on a Thursday or a Wednesday. And so I, at this point, I don't feel responsible for a lull in activity because we have so many people in our community that are active and they want to do things and they want to participate.
That's
So
great.
Yeah.
that burden has been lifted off of my shoulders. But at the very beginning, yeah, absolutely, I felt responsible. But now I'm like, nah, I got a job. Y'all are grown. Figure it out.
Maybe we can help people out that are a little nervous with the next
Yeah.
question that is there a place to get games or icebreaker ideas? Uh,
Oh,
Jerica, do you
yeah. Do y'all mind if I go
No,
first?
go,
Go
go,
for
go,
it.
go.
Yeah.
All right. So here is where I get all of my icebreakers from. Baby showers. My
That is a really
family
good
has
idea.
so many kids, no lie. And so a lot of the ideas that I have for one of our New Year's meets, we had it was such a simple game. I put a bunch of candy in this clear cosmetic box and I was like, y'all guess the number, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And I got it from going to my cousin's baby shower. They put a bunch of safety pins in the or safety pins
Mhm.
in there and they're like, guess how many safety pins, that kind of thing. Or like I like to give my community a crossword
Mm.
puzzle to do
Mhm.
also for New Year's meet. Got that from a baby shower as well. So baby shower ideas, bachelorette party ideas,
Mhm.
those kinds of things, I literally just Google it, y'all. Just Google it and that's
Yeah.
you'll get a
Yeah,
lot of icebreakers that way.
I've definitely Googled, like, party games or, like, office games because it's just,
Yeah.
like, the accessible, like, like you said, crossword, because sometimes
Yeah.
when we have a big tea party, if people are
Yep.
waiting, it's like, keep them busy.
Yep.
Here's a cute
Here's a
little
crossword.
thing. Um,
Scavenger hunt. Here you
bing
go. I did that
Yeah.
bingo
at
sheets
Akon.
are fantastic. Like,
Yep.
and you can make your own bingo sheet. There's like
Mhm.
bingo.com where you can
Yeah.
make your own bingo.
And crosswords. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a engine. You plug it all in.
Yeah, I get them from like
Yeah.
team building icebreakers.
Yeah.
Like just Google.
Yeah.
Google is your best friend in the
Absolutely.
world for
Yeah, I think,
everything.
Absolutely.
like we were saying before, like people get so nervous, like they should just already know how to do this, but really it's like I just Google things.
Mhm. We take the
And
guesswork out.
Absolutely.
sometimes I take games from other communities.
Me too.
I do it all the time. There
Oh
was a
my goodness.
sticker game. Did I take it from you, Jerica? Where it's like you had to like put stickers on people.
From when I don't know if that was from me. The sticker we did, what did we do? Oh, we did the pearl thing. We hid pearl necklaces and you found them.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you
I
changed
remember
it
that.
to stickers maybe? Maybe that was what it was
maybe that
from.
was it. But yeah,
Or
don't
we did playing cards. Oh, that was what it was. It was, yep, one of the New Year's we had a
eh,
circus theme and we hid playing cards all over the place. And that was, yep.
do not feel shy to take a game from another
Yeah.
thing and just change
No.
the theme. We do it all the time.
Yep.
I
There is
went
no
to like
shame.
a tea party in San Francisco. I just happened to be
Oh,
yeah, it was great. It was a baby tea party
that's so
because I just
cool.
happened to be there and I was like, it's
Mhm.
happening. I'm gonna
I'm
go.
gonna go.
And
Exactly.
the theme of the tea was a murder mystery, but it was like a fairy tale murder mystery, and I was like, this
Oh,
was awesome. And so
that's
guess what we did the
amazing.
next ILD for Houston. And I was looking up like murder mystery game sets to get some
Yeah.
ideas, and I ended up having to like rewrite the whole story anyways because all of the main characters from the actual plot nobody signed up to be. So I was like, well, great. Now I gotta figure out a new story.
You're
But
right.
I'm pretty sure it was the exact same like game, kit that they bought
Yeah,
too
Yeah.
because it was like
that's
the same
funny.
story.
Again,
But
everyone's recycling the same stuff.
yeah,
There's
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
so many out there.
Exactly.
exactly.
Yep. And even like you said, from like board games and card
Mhm,
games, my
mhm,
favorite thing ever, we played it at ILD, the statewide ILD,
mhm.
is Lolita Debate. I got that
Yes.
from, there is a card game and it's called The Great Debate, and
Mhm.
they have
Yep.
cards, you debate them, and I was like, making a Lolita version. I do that at tea parties, I
I
do that at
forgot we did
cons.
that, and that was
Yes.
one of my favorite because it required nothing. It required a whiteboard, which you can
Mhm.
buy at
Yeah.
Target for $5,
Yep.
markers, and just 2 people
Just
arguing with each
in there.
other.
Yep, that was it. We even, it's
Yep.
a panel at Akon, like, we straight up got it from the card game.
Yeah.
Alright. What are your thoughts on relaxed mask mandates in Texas? How will this
Oh,
affect meetups? Y'all are sent in some deep cuts.
yeah, oof.
Um,
Ooh.
so I personally still wear a mask when I go out. I do it I'm completely vaccinated. I've been
Mhm.
100% for a month, but a few of my friends and family aren't quite 100% yet, and I just do it out of respect for I might run into someone who's not 100% yet, and maybe someone coughed on me and I don't want to cough on someone else. That's really I just do it like why not? And it's also like us being either like been to Japan or even been at just the like anime conventions, we're used to like people just wear masks.
Mhm.
It's just yeah, we're just trying to protect ourselves and others, and masks are very useful at conventions, by the way. So when they start again, I will have a box of masks with me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still am wearing masks. I encourage people in my community when we make events. We actually I think are having one of our first in-person meets, and we said we'll wear a mask. We're gonna sit outside and have a picnic and take your mask off when we're eating, but for the just courtesy of everyone there, like please bring a mask.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I personally, I still wear my mask all the time. I have to at work, and I just do everywhere else because I'm with you there. Um, I think it's tricky with meetups, right? Because there are people who for whatever reason, don't want to, or, with the new mandates, they in certain places maybe don't have to, and so maybe they won't. And it's not really for me to say. I'm not in charge of anybody else, just me. However, when it's a meetup that I'm hosting, and this is how I feel like it always goes with every meet, if you're the host, you kind of set the ground rules for that meet, whether it's, you know, certain types of things, maybe you have a dress code for a particular meet. You set the ground rules. And so for my meets that I host, I will continue to require them, at least, probably for the foreseeable future until things are a little bit different. And from my perspective, that's just to make sure everybody's covered, everybody's comfortable, and again, we're volunteers, right? So, if
Right.
you don't want to and the rule is that you have to, then you are welcome not to come. And,
Mhm.
it's unfortunate when that situation happens, but, I make the meet, it's my rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, honestly. I kind of feel like if you like what Olive said, in that you just don't know. You don't know who or what or how you will be exposed to people. And even when, like, y'all are having a picnic, maybe a family walks by and they
Mhm.
want to sit next to y'all because you're dressed
Mhm.
weirdly. Um and so, like, I totally agree in that, like, even if it's relaxing, um I think for the safety of not only your comm members, but their family members that they go home to, their coworkers, all of those other people that they encounter, yeah, keep wearing your mask. Like, don't not, unless you have that medical reason where you can't. And if that's the case, if it's something to the point where you can't or you don't want to, then yeah, don't go. Host your own meet. You can
Yeah.
have a mask free, whatever. But in saying that, also, if that's what you want to do not come back to us and be like, well, Jerica said I could have a mask free meet. You're
Yeah.
right, I did say that, but the Metroplex Lolita community is not reliable for any of me. So I just feel like, people are gonna do whatever they want to do, regardless of what we
Mhm.
say anyway. So while I definitely tell everyone, like, if you're coming to my meet, you're wearing a mask. Like, that's it.
Mhm.
That's the end. And even as far as I'm also fully vaccinated, and have been since, like a month and a half now, almost 2 months. And even then, I'm also always wearing my mask everywhere I
Mhm.
go. I never go without it. And so I just feel like, for the safety of your fellow community members and everybody else around you, yeah, keep wearing your mask, keep doing it.
Mhm.
The other thing too, and I don't know how it is in Houston and in Austin, so correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a lot of businesses out here in Dallas that are like, keep your mask on. You
Yeah.
Yes,
cannot come in the
they
door
are.
without wearing a mask. So even then, like, it's do what's necessary for the safety of yourself and others,
Mhm.
like, at all times. That's kind of just how I
Yeah.
feel about it.
Ab absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about events coming out of quarantine?
Uh as in,
Cautiously
like, having them?
optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cautiously, like, again, I said
Mhm.
in our last question, we have our
Yeah.
first in-person meetup, and we're gonna be outside
Mhm.
and bring masks. We're gonna be sitting, um, but I'm still I don't know, it's just again, we're in a panini and it's been over a year, so while I would love to have a little more normalcy,
Mhm.
it is a little scary. I did book something for me privately with,
Mhm.
like, 6 people that are all vaccinated, but it's
Mhm.
still, like it feels strange. I don't know about y'all in your real life if you've ever like, I went to, um, like, a cafe a couple weeks ago, and it felt just very strange.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a brave new world, right? And
Mhm.
Mhm,
a lot of people throw out the phrase, getting back to normal.
mhm,
And From my perspective, I don't think we as a society will ever go back to the way it was before.
Mhm.
Things have changed so much, and I've changed personally the way I look at a lot of these things. And during the last year and a half, for me, my comfort zone of doing these things has shrunken so much that it's gonna be slow going for me. And
Mm,
and for my comm specifically, that's kind of the vibe that we have too is, we're excited to see that things seem to be moving in the right direction for the country, but there's still so much uncertainty right now. There's still so much going on out, in the outside world, outside of the US, that really, we can't really say we're through the thick of it yet,
right.
but we are kind of starting to get on that other side. And so I'm really excited to see that there are things starting to get in the works, that some of the conventions coming up seem to be, going ahead with some
Mhm.
of these safety concerns, and the safety changes that they're making. So cautiously optimistic. And I can't wait for things to be more to what it was before, but I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I think we all know the stereotype of, con funk, and not that any of us are, like, 100% ready for conventions, but it's just
Mm-mm.
like I'm kind of excited for people to wear masks normally at anime conventions. It's just a
Yeah,
lot of
not getting
bodies.
sick
I
Yeah,
haven't
after
gotten
a
a cold
con.
in like a year and a half
me
because of
either.
this.
Yeah.
Me
It's
either.
So I'm all for it, and I've gotten
yeah.
so used to being able to I talk to myself a lot, and like I actually like move my mouth and talk to
Mhm.
myself, and I'll do it while I'm walking around, and I have the mask on so nobody can see my crazy, and I don't know if I'm ready to be maskless just because of that, and
We'll
I'm
Yeah.
we'll accept you. We'll accept you.
Yeah, regardless. So I guess for me, my perspective is just a little different because my community was still
Mm,
trying to do things.
Mhm,
Even, with the at the point where it was like, okay, you can't have more than X amount of people
mhm.
within a room. There were still people that were having their own private little whatever.
Yeah.
mhm,
And then there were people that were still having, okay, we can go to the park, we can have a picnic, everybody has to sit on their own blanket, everybody has to have a mask. So I would say I'm definitely optimistic in
Mhm,
that I feel like a lot of the events that, did get postponed or canceled or whatever will start coming back, especially with so many of our community members being like, we got a lot of people in the healthcare field. So
mhm.
a
uh,
lot of those folks were vaccinated quite early.
mhm,
We have a lot of teachers in our community, so a lot of them were vaccinated early. So I would have to say, just from seeing the other communities in comparison to mine, I feel like the Metroplex com was we were a bit more lax
mhm,
in that we were like, okay, if you come to this meet, you wear a mask, you have hand sanitizer, you sanitize your hands before you come, sanitize your hands when you leave. So everybody was doing what they needed to do for their
mhm.
own personal care. And to me, that was the most important thing. Is like,
Definitely.
Yeah.
if you feel comfortable with that, because like you said, Olive, you weren't fully comfortable going to restaurants and stuff like
Mhm,
that. And that's totally understandable. And that's totally your level of comfort. And like, to me, that was the important thing, is like,
mhm.
no, we're not having gigantic meets with 50 plus
Yeah.
people. But if y'all feel comfortable getting together, who am I?
Yeah.
Again, y'all are grown, do
Yeah.
what you want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
uh, so I did see that happening, but at the same token, I was like, okay, y'all, be aware, be
Mhm,
cautious, take that personal responsibility, in that you have to acknowledge that you were taking this risk. This isn't
mhm.
a risk that Jerica told you to take, this is something that you're agreeing
Mhm.
to.
I think
um
that really speaks to, like, what we were saying before,
mhm.
that, like, we can't tell we are moderators, but we
Yeah.
can't tell anyone what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I have no control over, at the end of the day. And again, especially with those, if it was a group of friends and they got together and did whatever, that has nothing to do with the com. So why would I
Mhm.
even, there was
Mhm.
no reason for me to get involved in that. And so, yeah, I just, right now, my biggest thing is like, try not to have too many people. But in saying that, like, I think we're having an ILD meet, a
Mhm.
very small, well, I won't say very small, but it's smallish for us. And so, like, that is something that all of those people feel comfortable in doing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like, do you feel comfortable? Cool. So yeah, I mean, if people want to do it, they feel comfortable doing it. I really just want to
Yeah.
I just need to put a disclaimer on the com. Jerica is not liable.
Big asterisk.
Mhm.
Get it notarized. I am not liable. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like, so I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
It also helps. Well, I won't say helps, but
Yeah.
given the industry that I work in,
Mhm.
I work in the travel industry, and
Mhm.
so people are still traveling and doing all of those things
Mhm.
comfortably and safely and all of those things. So seeing what I see at work and then, seeing it in the community, I'm just like, if you're comfortable, you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Do you feel like you're required to engage in conversation, or do you only monitor what people say? Do you read all the comments people say in the groups?
Oh.
I'm a busybody, so I do read all the comments.
I somehow miss some things, but I do read it. I don't feel required to engage in all of
Mhm.
it. I like
Mhm.
my engagement to feel, I guess more, what's the word? Real,
Genuine.
genuine. Yeah,
Yeah.
genuine. I do try though, like, if I am struggling to think of, like, someone posts a great topic and I'm just like, I really can't think of anything, I won't force myself, but I will
Mhm.
try, 'cause again, if other people post topics, I love it. Yes, I
Mhm.
love it, and I do wanna encourage it, so I'll try to, but, sometimes I just monitor because 'cause I'm tired or I
Yeah.
just got off work and I'm just like, "I can't think of anything right now."
Yeah, I mean, at least in our community, we try to make it pretty clear that
Mhm.
we're not 24/7, 365 on Facebook. So if there is something of questionable nature, something that you don't like, report it. There is a great
Yeah.
report feature on
Absolutely.
every post and comment.
Mhm.
Report it to the admins and we'll review it.
Mhm.
Outside of that, I like to read them just because I'm nosy and I just like to read them, but I don't feel required to read. I'm all up in there, just like, what is people saying?
What is it? What is
What's
it?
going on? Because I like to be I have really bad FOMO, so I'm like, I just gotta know everything that's
Mhm.
happening. But yeah, I mean, like I don't feel required to do it. And I think, just like Olive was saying, I want my engagement to be genuine. And, if I'm interested in replying, I will. The only time I ever feel kind of almost obligated to is when it's someone who's brand new to the community and they're like, "Hey, I just joined," and it's an intro post. I always feel a little obligated to at least just say welcome, just so
Yeah.
we get that, warm fuzzy. But other than that, I mean, most of the time I just like and then move
Yeah,
on.
I'll throw a heart react on things. Throw a heart
Yeah.
react.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would say the only time I ever feel like required is more so when it's new people.
Mhm.
Just because, like, when there's a new person to the community, like you said, you want them to feel welcome. You want them to feel like, this is a place where I can vocalize those thoughts and
Mhm.
feelings and ask those questions or what have you. In saying that, though, there are just some topics, like if somebody makes a post asking about the best place to get like OG pants and stuff like that. I don't wear OG, never worn OG. I can't help you, but I will link you to a blog that will help you. So, even if it's not me so much like actually saying something, I'll be like, oh, here's an excellent resource, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I also created a frequently asked questions page within the Metroplex community, so that in those moments where I do feel required to engage, it's like, hey, you can read this, it's great.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. As far as like monitoring, really I only monitor when the conversation or the topic is getting heated.
Mm.
Because again, in every community, you have so many different personalities, so many different ideas and opinions and feelings, that sometimes, there will be that disagreement. There will be
Yeah.
someone that's like, I don't agree with this, or I don't like the way you said that, or whatever. And so when that happens, yes, we as a mod team do like take a look, kind of see. Honestly and truly, I cannot think of a single instance where somebody in the Metroplex community has hit that report button.
I can't either,
Yeah, like
honestly.
I'm literally trying to think of anything that's ever been like
Which
reported
is,
to me.
I might need y'all's help with this next question on that, Jerica. How,
Like I had to think of that. I'm like,
how
I
do we report
don't know.
someone who is misbehaving anonymously without being called out? One, I would
Yeah,
like people to know you can come to us. It's our job to stay impartial. But if you
exactly.
do hit the report button, I don't actually know what happens because no one's done it.
Yeah. So does it tell you so and
Mhm.
so reported this comment?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So it does tell you who reported
who it
it.
is? Yeah.
But again, yeah, that's like the moderator code, I think,
Mm,
is you have to be able to be impartial, provide that trust
Mhm.
and that
mhm,
anonymity. So
mhm.
that's something that we try to emphasize too with the
Yeah.
community is that, if you have a concern, please do bring it to us
Right.
because we want to know when you are not comfortable or if
Mhm.
something's going on. And I won't always guarantee that there will be a visible effect
Mhm.
because I try not to be the kind of person that calls people out in public places when it is that kind of situation. So,
Yeah.
more often than not, if that happens, we as a moderator group will kind of discuss the situation and we
Mhm.
do it as a team to make
Mhm.
sure that I'm just not completely off base and like, I think it
Right.
sounds rude,
Yeah.
but maybe so we try to discuss it as a team. And
Mhm.
then anytime someone has brought a concern to me personally, which has happened,
Mhm.
typically I filter it to the moderator group and I say
Mhm.
someone in the community said this. Unless it's
Mm.
absolutely pertinent for the moderator team to know who you are to give context to it, I don't tell them. I keep that between us because I want to make sure that it's completely impartial. There's no chance that your name would ever get out there because it's not fair to you. But
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately, there's not really a good way to do that anonymously on
Mhm.
Facebook. I will say we at Houston, we have an email address. We have like HLC mods at
Oh,
gmail.com.
cool,
That's a
cool.
good
So
That's a good
idea.
idea.
you can email
Yeah.
us, just create a junk Gmail account that
Yeah.
doesn't, say who you are and feel free to email us.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, outside of that, that's the only thing that I can think of. But it is really important. And if any moderator ever somehow if there's like repercussions because you brought something up and then it gets out or if they mishandle it like that, then please call them out on it.
Yeah.
Please
Mhm.
talk to the moderator group. There's a group of us for a reason.
Right.
Not
We have
You can
everybody's
like,
gonna
always go to another mod.
yeah.
Always.
exactly. Not everybody's gonna
Mhm.
like me personally, and that's okay. So, if I would want if I ever did something and I promise not to do it on purpose, but if I ever do something that does make you feel uncomfortable, please, talk to the other moderators about it
Mhm.
so we can make sure to do better in the future. But
Right.
unfortunately sometimes you do kind of have to trust in the process that the people that you're talking to that you do trust, but your name might be part of that at some point.
Right.
What is your advice to someone who is thinking about being a mod?
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah, this one I had to think about because I didn't actually, I'm not gonna say I didn't want to be a mod. I just never thought of myself as a mod before I did.
Mm.
But then I talked to, a couple of my other friends who were mods because I did have
Mhm.
someone who stepped down as a mod just because she didn't, she still does events. She was just like, I
Mhm.
just don't want to have this mental responsibility, which again, we've talked about, it's not actually tiring, but it is something in the back of your head. So
Mhm.
if someone's like, I don't want to do this, that's fine. But I never saw myself as a mod, and it kind of took other people. telling me that I could do it to do it. And really, yeah, it's like knowing you have to be impartial and being comfortable with being a facilitator. You don't have to be the one that does all the events, but you do have to be or be okay with getting comfortable with
Mhm.
like that learning curve of being a facilitator with events and discussions.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say my advice to someone who's thinking about being a mod is to really truly think if this is what you want to do.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that is because time and time again, I have heard of communities from all over where someone became a mod, they didn't want to be a mod, and then nothing happened. They didn't do anything at all. And then their community felt unheard, their community felt uncared for, they felt that, nothing was being done to improve the community. Um, because, again, like Susie has said multiple times, we are volunteers. All of this is a labor of love. And if you do not love your community, if you do not love the people in it, if you do not love the fashion, and the only reason why I bring up the fashion is because at the end of the day, we are Lolita communities.
Yeah.
We are people who love wearing poofy dresses. If you don't love wearing poofy dresses anymore, you probably should not manage a community of people who still love wearing poofy dresses because that disconnect is there and it shows. You might not
Yes.
think it shows, but it shows. Your members know. They know who actually wants to be there, who's
Mhm.
trying to make the community a better place. Everybody will know. So to me, that's rule number one because, like I mentioned before, I asked to be a mod. I was like, hey, our community needs something. So let me be a moderator because I want to bring something. I hope that I can bring something, but that's my goal. So if you do not want to be a mod, then don't. Like,
Yeah.
really sit and decide if this is the course of action that you want to take. And I think to me that is the basis of everything. Every rule you create, every confrontation you have to deal with, that love for your community, it'll show or it won't. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's really the most important thing is, yeah, if you're thinking about being a mod, do it. Ask your mod team, can I be a mod? But also be aware that you have no business being a mod if you don't, or like if you don't like people, like what
Yeah. Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
So that would be my biggest, absolute biggest piece of advice because I have talked to people who are currently former mods. And one of the biggest things they said was just like, you know, I didn't want to do it anymore. And
That's
let me
fair.
move on. Yeah, it's absolutely fair. If you don't want to do it anymore, don't do it. But
That's
don't,
also why there was a spot open for me, and it,
yeah,
like I said, I didn't see myself as a mod not because I didn't like facilitating events and engaging. Like I liked all that stuff. I just
yeah.
literally was like, "Oh, I like doing this. I should do this."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like you that to me is the biggest piece of advice is like make sure this is what you want to do because once you go down this road, there is so much other stuff that will happen and you just have to sometimes you have to remind yourself, I do this because I love it. I do
Mhm.
this because
Yeah.
I care about these people. I do this because I love events and I want to, facilitate events and those things. So I would say that's my biggest piece of advice. And I would say secondly, talk to people who are mods.
Mhm.
Talk to your moderators, ask them about their experience, ask them, things that were challenging to them and see if those are situations that you yourself could handle. Because that's something that I do hear from a lot of community members. We have one person, she's been in our community for a very long time. We all love and adore her. And the previous mod staff asked her to be a mod 3 times. And then when I became a mod, we asked her to be a mod again. And the response just was like, I don't have the heart for it. And so that, you know, has like Olive said, that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. But definitely speak to your moderators, because maybe you are very gung-ho, like, oh, I
Mhm.
love the community, I want to do this, I want to take part. And then we start telling y'all about these situations that we had to deal with and these social nuances that we have to navigate. And you're like, oh, I got to do all of that for free? I don't know, you know? So I would definitely say communicate with your mod team if that's something that you're thinking about doing. Ask people who have already been here and have already gone through these challenges, because I'm not even lying to y'all. Having other mods as friends has been so beneficial to me as a moderator.
Absolutely. It
Being
Yeah.
able
makes me
to,
feel
yeah,
less
validate.
alone. I
Yeah,
don't feel like I'm like, "Do you deal with this? Is it
yes,
just me? Am I just
yes.
bad at this?"
Yes, exactly, exactly. Being able to communicate with other mods, and not even in Texas, like
Mhm.
there is
Yeah.
a community of Midwestern Lolita comms, and it's from Texas all the way up, you know, all of these mods communicate with each other. We talk to each other, y'all. We do. You know, we lean on each other, we
Mhm.
ask each other for advice. And so if you want to be a mod, use that network. We have it.
Yeah.
It exists. It's established. Talk to us. You know, get a feel for the position and then move forward. So
And I'd also say start small, right? Do some
yeah,
events, host an
yeah.
Yeah.
event.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, have a
Have
meetup,
a meeting.
get involved with the big events, back
Mhm.
before the global
I will be
panini, we had
cheering you on.
yeah, we
Oh,
had, like,
aw.
big ILD ask us, like, "Hey, can I help
Yeah.
out? What can I
Mhm.
do?"
Mhm.
And we will absolutely love the help first and foremost,
Yep.
because usually it's just us doing all of it, so please help us. But also it gives you a feel for what it takes to put on an event, which is one of the big things, and do that. And there are people in the community that can just be event hosts, and
Mhm.
they're not mods, they don't have to deal with the other stuff, but all they want to do is just host events,
Yeah.
and if that, go for it.
What are some crazy stories you had as a mod? This is I'm like, "Oh, man, I don't know how juicy to get." No, honestly,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, is this ask a moderator after dark edition, because
Right,
oh
right.
boy,
Did we turn this into a horror
boy
stories
howdy.
panel? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah.
um,
kidding.
I'll share one that some person is not in the community anymore. They're not in any J fashion community. I'll just say that out there. We actually had someone join our comm that I'd say the biggest issue has they were really rude to a lot of our members, and again, as a mod, like that's we I don't stand for that. They were commenting on people's like photos of their cords and their wardrobe posts, like not sales posts, and they would ask like, "Will you sell me this?" And when someone said no, they would get very very aggro with them, and that's not okay. And honestly, that's probably the worst thing that's happened in ATX is someone just being really aggro with like, "Give me your stuff now." Which felt, like, terrible when it was happening.
Yeah.
I don't like my members being harassed. That's probably the craziest story I have is that someone was then they got mad and was like, "I don't want your used socks anyway." It's like, "Okay." Which again, in
Oh.
Lolita is definitely a thing. Used socks selling for $50. That's just the way it is.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of my stories, they were moderators. I'm from Houston. Houston has had some challenges. However, I will say one story that is just kind of funny is we had this like gigantic ILD event that we were putting together, and we were running around. It was another mod and I kind of doing the whole shebang, and we had favors and we had decorations and we had to coordinate. We got to get the caterers and we got to do this, we got to do that, and then my shoe broke, my heel on my shoe broke, and I had to do the entire event and facilitate everything and like host and stand up and do the
Oh, no.
raffles and with a
With the
broken
broken
shoe.
shoe.
I was
Oh,
like shuffling
no.
around, trying not to break it any further. And then at the end of
Oh.
the event, we have to take everything down, right? Because we rented
Mhm,
a space. Like they're not going to clean it up
mhm.
for us. And so I think at that point I just like took my shoes off and I was like, screw it, I'll just wash these socks later.
Yep, exactly. They're washable.
Yeah.
I would have to say, and I kind of mentioned that earlier. So, I guess I'll preface this with when super duper crazy off the wall things happen in the Metroplex community, oftentimes we realize that this should have been a rule before it happened.
Yeah.
And so I'll go back to where I was discussing how in our com we introduced an age requirement.
Mm.
Because and you know, I don't even know how old this 12-year-old is now, because this happened probably about 5 years ago. So like I was a brand new mod at the time, but like bless that little 12-year-old's heart. She was so devastated because we were like, hey, you know, I'm so sorry you were 12. We have members that could have kids as old as you are. And like, if you're gonna go to meetups, your mom needs to be there. And like, she was so angry that she made a second oh, and that was the other thing too. I was like, Facebook terms of service says that you as a 12-year-old aren't
Mm,
even supposed to have a Facebook page. So
yeah.
let's start there. Does your mom know you have a Facebook page? You know, that kind of thing. And so I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, you're 12. You are 12. This is a community. There are 40-year-olds here. I do not think your mom would feel comfortable with you hanging out with 40-year-olds by yourself. You know, your mom is more than welcome to add the community, or, you know, join the community.
Mhm.
And she can come to meets with you. You know, that the whole spiel we gave earlier, I was like, yeah, your mom can, you know, join the com page, but you as a 12-year-old, no, you can't. No, absolutely not. Like, I'm not. But yeah, she got so upset she made a second Facebook page because we blocked and banned her original page. So she made a second page, and commenced to messaging every person on the mod team. Please
Wow.
let me in. Please, please. I just want to be a Lolita. And I'm like, you can be a Lolita, but you have to be at least 15 to be in this community. Like, you have to. I'm so sorry. And she's just like, no, it's not fair. You're being mean to me. You're picking on me. You're bullying me. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, sweetheart, you are 12. Please get your mother.
Yeah, these are the rough where they're like, we have everyone's interest in heart. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like, I just like, even now, like, I don't know if I would be fine with my 12-year-old cousins being dropped off at, you know,
I
just
know, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm just like, you're 12. You're 12. I am so sorry. You were 12. I cannot, like, I can't. That is so many legal nightmares that I just do not have the no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the craziest story because like I once we banned her and then blocked her
Mhm.
account, like I was just like, okay, that's it, that's over and done with. And then one of the other mods messaged me and they're like, Jerica, isn't this the girl we just blocked? Like, how did she
Oh,
made a new Facebook page, like, and it was, you know, it was a new page with a different name, no picture, and she was like, it's crazy that y'all won't let 12-year-olds in. It's
I
like,
don't think it is.
oh
It's
baby, no.
Mark Zuckerberg doesn't let 12-year-olds in.
Exactly. Like, I was like, you're not even supposed to have a Facebook, kid, please, you know.
Yeah.
So that
And
was
I think you
probably
hit
the
the nail on
craziest
the head, right? Like, if you want to be a Lolita, like, being a member of the community is not a requirement. You can
no,
It's
be a
it's
not.
lone
not.
Lita.
You can do whatever you
No.
want. I
There are
can't stop
so
No.
you.
many
Well, I can stop you from
resources.
coming to the event as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there's
get
so many
you.
resources, online
Yeah.
communities, be a part of, like, Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion, Closet of
Right.
Frills, like, engage that way, and
Yeah.
then when you are
And that's what I
older.
told her. I was like,
Yeah.
when you're 15, please join again. Let us know. We will add you into the community when you're 15. But at this point, you're 12. I can't. Your mom can join. You can go to
Mhm,
meets with your mom, but I'm
mhm.
not. Nope, nope. So yeah,
Some
that was probably the craziest thing.
something a little lighter.
Mm,
Um, what do you think the main difference is when comparing Chinese to Japanese brands? I see a lot of people talk about this. I don't
Mm.
actually like when it comes like down to it. I own both, and like
yeah,
really, it's just like Angelic Pretty could come out with something where I'm just like, I really don't like that. Or I see like
yeah,
Chinese Lolita updates, and I'm like, I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of Chinese Lolita brands that get a bad rap because in the past there definitely were some that were very questionable, and there are
Mhm.
still today. There's some that are
Mhm.
questionable quality, and so one of my friends just got the beautiful, what was it, the rainbow dollhouse, like the one that everybody's obsessed with right
Oh,
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
And she was posting all these pictures of like, ooh, it was a $30 dress, so you kind of get what you pay for, but there
Yeah.
were some little things, but she modified it and it's gorgeous now. So
Mhm.
I think that there's the more established brands, wherever they're from,
Mhm.
tend to be a little more. They tend to be in their own lane, if that makes sense. Like they kind
Mhm.
of tend to be the same over and over again. They don't really vary too much because they have a really strong established customer base. Our customers like this thing, so we're going to keep doing it. And the newer brands, the indie brands that are brand new, and there's a lot of them that happen to be Chinese, they're more experimental because they're like, well, we're gonna plug in the holes in the market. We're gonna come out with like more idol style stuff. We're gonna come out with
Mhm.
crazy things like the cow print and the denim dress, and
Mhm.
you know,
The denim dress.
The
Yeehaw-kei.
yeah,
Jolita.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, like, I think I see that a lot, but ultimately I just think it just comes down to every brand is different. There are some Japanese brands and there are some dresses from the big 3 that are
Mhm.
just garbage and they're
Yeah.
There
just
are.
not very well constructed or like terrible material. And
Mhm.
likewise, so every brand is different, every dress is different, and you just have to pick what you like, what you feel comfortable with. And reviews, like go on and look at unboxing videos and reviews
Mhm.
and like get that, like, is this good quality? Okay, cool, I'm gonna buy it. Don't care what
Mhm.
brand it is, I'm gonna buy
I think it really is important. It's not like, again, we do see people be like, Taobao is all cheap, and like certainly it's like Taobao is
it.
basically
Can be.
Chinese Amazon. Like
It's
there are
basically
cheap stuff on
Amazon.
Amazon. There's cheap stuff on
Yeah.
lots of websites. It's like, yeah, if you
Mhm.
buy a $30 dress from anywhere,
Mhm.
probably not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just I think I think it's interesting that this is such, a hot topic lately,
Mhm,
but I also know why.
mhm,
And so I would say just to be cautious of the mindset that you have when trying to make this line of, oh, well, clearly this is Chinese brand behavior. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
it just,
Yeah.
to me, the main difference is, does it fit your closet? Like,
Hmm.
Does it fit
I
your
don't know.
closet? And I
Yeah.
use a different shopping service for it.
Yeah, yeah, the main difference is, yeah, your shopping service, really. That's, especially for me, like I write Taobao reviews,
Mhm.
so
Hmm.
I will be team Taobao to the top cows
This
come
blouse
home.
is Taobao, I love it.
I'm
This is
wearing
one
a
of my
Taobao
favorite.
dress.
I love it.
Like it just, like where
I
would
mean, look
you
look how cute this is with like the little
with the
bunny
bunny ears?
ears. Like, I'm
Yes.
Oh,
telling
that's
you.
cute. That's
Like,
cute.
Telling
and
you.
like that's from Taobao, but Bodyline also has a dress with,
Hmm.
a blouse with
Yeah.
bunny ears, which is a Japanese brand. Like,
Yeah.
really the difference would be, yeah, your shopping service. Maybe I would say the price, but you catch some baby on sale, and
Yeah.
you can get $100 baby dress. So
I
yeah,
got
And you could spend $300 on a Taobao dress. I
you
mean,
can,
can.
because
You
what is
can.
it? Crad. How do you say that?
Crad
Craglia.
Right? It's
Lorente.
Eternal Dark spelled backwards.
We're
That
gonna be
is,
Um,
trying pronouncing that for like 30
L
minutes.
Press L or whatever, like some of
LSL
they're
is expensive.
beautiful, but
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
My
expensive.
9 odes dress was like 150. Like
Mhm.
it's, so I don't know. I think the biggest difference, like you said, is just the shopping services that you use to get them. But I also, to me, the goal of Lolita fashion is to wear the clothes. So price, look, feel, whatever, all of these things are personal preference.
Mhm.
And if it suits your wardrobe and you can court it, then don't get caught up in whatever that
Yeah.
is. You don't
No
need
one
to.
cares. I
No,
think
literally
people
no one
think they like it's like a myth that people care, which
cares.
has been like
Yeah,
a myth is
for a
like
very
for
long time.
Tale
yeah.
as old as time. Like,
Yeah, nobody cares. They don't.
No.
really
They
don't.
They're more concerned about like
does it look
thinking that
good?
you're looking, yeah, like do I look good? Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, if
Yeah.
it looks good, if it's Lolita, like
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's it. So yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on the difference, because there really is no difference. It's all Lolita.
Yeah.
They're
mhm.
all every single brand has designers that, you know, blood, sweat, and tears to make these
Yeah.
garments. So whether it's a $20 garment or whether it's a $50 garment,
Mhm.
somebody sat down and planned that out and got it made and manufactured it and D all
Mhm.
of the above.
And
So
that's
I've
hard work.
yeah,
It's
It
yeah,
is
very
I can
hard.
hard
do
work.
it. I can do it all.
If
But
you're
like,
coming from like Western perspective where you see a
yeah.
lot of fast fashion and you're like,
Hmm.
"Oh,
Mhm.
that's, it doesn't take long. It's not that."
Uh,
It
It's
does.
really challenging to do all of
mhm,
that and bring that to
yeah,
fruition, even for big
exactly.
brands, big, big brands, which they're not that big. They're
They're
No,
really
really not.
not.
compared to other, like, big mainstream
Yeah,
brands,
yeah, it's like
other
they are
fashion
nowhere near
brands.
the scale of like Forever
No.
21 or like any,
Yeah.
they don't have the resources. And so it's still challenging. And there's a designer there, like this is their baby, their design, like,
Yeah. Like,
and
I
that's why
just
I like the fashion the most because
yeah,
it just feels, you know, it feels like you're a part of that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
How can people, like, reach their goals? Like, especially one of my favorite brands is Hey Newly. Like, I
Yeah.
love Hey Newly, and just seeing her comics of how she came up, with these ideas and just the stuff that she had to go through to make the dresses that she made. Like, to me, that's why I don't think it's important to make that difference,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, somebody's hard work went into that.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
would look at it that way. I don't know.
Are there any Texas-themed Lolita dresses or accessories you recommend?
I just
Speaking
Yeah.
mentioned
of
2.
the cow print and
Yeah.
the jean, do any of y'all know what Tabo they come from? I
What
actually
top? I have
Do not
no
remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
the jean dress, I think, is from I know I'm gonna mispronounce it, but it's like Cybele something. They came out with these Vampire Night
Mhm.
looking dresses, and they had a bunch of colors like purple and white and blah blah blah. Anyway, so that's where the jean dress comes from. So I know that much. But the cow print, I have no idea because there's been a couple of cow
There's a few
prints.
cow prints, and, like,
Yeah.
one of y'all mentioned that there is an online community called Big Sisters of
Mhm.
Oh
Lolita,
yeah.
and then
Mhm.
there's another there's other advice ones,
Yeah.
Mhm.
questions, or what's
Or,
that print
what's the
Yeah.
stress? Yeah, I love that community.
that
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
if you
I
ever
somebody knows.
yeah, somebody
talking
with
about
their
Google
stress.
being your best friend, I just
Yeah,
Googled the Taobao cow dress,
uh-huh.
and there's one that was on Lace Market from a brand called Lullaby, I think,
Okay,
or
I think Alice Girl made one too.
yeah, there's a couple
I
of
think
different
so
ones.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheese Cocoa, that's a fun
Oh,
brand
yeah,
name.
Cheese
I
Yeah.
Coco.
love
Yep.
Taobao brand names.
Yeah,
Talking
I
about
know,
what's the
they're the
difference, they
best.
have the better
they
names.
have great names.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and V Castle has one
oh,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. I don't know anything besides the cow dress and the jean
Why
dress.
Are You has some really cute, like, cowboy boots. So if you
Yes.
want to do,
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
yay!
Good
Heisei.
Cyber
Cybo
Heisei.
Heisei.
Heisei?
Heis
Cybele
yeah.
Heisei.
Sybil
Yeah.
Heisei?
I
Yeah.
ordered some tights from them a while back. It was nice, so
And there's also, it's not Lolita, but there is also, it was just on the tip of my tongue. But it's the Gyaru brand.
Hmm. Oh, Liz
Oh.
Lisa?
Yeah,
Like,
Liz Lisa for some
uh-huh.
casual Yeehaw-kei. They
Okay.
love I have
Cool.
a pair of pink Liz Lisa cowgirl boots, and I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But no, they don't have anything, like, specifically, like, Lone Star State
Mhm.
type of, but I'm sure you could come up with awesome cord ideas. I
I know,
believe in y'all.
we just need to get all of the designers in Texas together, and
Yes.
we'll get a Texas print,
Be
and it'll
like,
have
"Hey, we need to collab, y'all." Exactly.
What is your nightmare on an event?
Oh, I think me and Olive might have the same answer.
I
My
had one happen,
nightmare
and it was awful.
is having to pay out of pocket for an event, and that
Yeah,
has happened to me.
that's happened to me.
That's happened to me, and it is a nightmare every time because you're just like, how did we get here? What
On
random
that
taxes did we
topic,
eat?
people in the community, I just want to nip this like
Yes,
misunderstanding in the bud.
PSA.
We do not make any money on these
None.
events.
Matter
No,
of fact, we
Every
spend our own money
I
always.
lose money.
exactly every single, even the ILD event that we did where the tickets I think were like $40, which
Mhm.
seemed like expensive to a lot of people. We lost money on
Yeah,
that because
yep,
we have to rent the space, we have to
yep.
pay the caterers, we have to
Mhm.
purchase, favors and whatever other things we're doing. We're also
Golden chair,
working.
'cause I had to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much expense that goes into that kind of thing that
Mhm.
I have never met any moderator ever who was like, "Yeah, I'm in this for the money," because we're
There's no
not.
money.
We don't even
There's
get money. Where does it
can't.
go? Yeah, like, we just
I've had meetups where, again, like, space is not free. It's very expensive. I
very
have If I can find a coffee shop that charges me under $100 to have a private room, I feel lucky.
Mhm.
There was one time where I rented a private room and I was like, "Okay, it's $5." And they're like, "Well, what do we get?" I'm like, "We get the room.
that's it.
Please, we get
Yeah.
the room."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember our like one of our big ILD events was easily like 3 grand for everybody. And it's like
Oof.
we pay that out, and I pay that up front, right? Like a lot of times you
Mhm.
do tickets through like, some kind of ticketing software. And most of the
Mhm.
time they won't release the funds if you're purchasing tickets until after the event. So
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these things are being paid up front.
Mhm.
But I actually had a nightmare at an event, which is just when things go wrong, right? For me, it's like
Mhm.
if we're putting all of these things together, we had a event where it was awesome and we had great catering and all this beautiful space and everything seemed to be, kind of on the right track. And then the water was off at the event. And so our caterer was like, I can't do things because we don't have water. So
Ooh.
we're just like they were. It was the best caterer we've ever used though, and they were like shuffling through and getting water and like doing all that crazy stuff. And they went above and beyond. But like
Mhm.
you have no idea sometimes how like what's going to happen at these events and
No.
how you
Mhm.
have to just pivot on a dime. And if
Yeah.
something goes wrong, you have to just, all right, we're gonna go with plan B or C or D or or just make it up as we go.
Yep. That's
I've had
no.
multiple events that I've booked at the same places, and then suddenly they're like, "It's $5 more per
Yep.
person now." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh,
Yep.
I have to give
Or
everyone the bad news now. Please give me more money."
yeah, yeah, no, or like I had one event where they posted the gratuity was 18% on their website.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So I told everybody, hey, this is how much you got to pay, whatever. Then we get there and the gratuity is 25%. And
Ooh,
when the tea is $65 a person, an additional 25% when I told everybody 18%, even after asking for more, I still had to come out of pocket, that kind
yeah.
of thing. So, and I say it's a nightmare and it's happened to me before. So the good thing is like it's a nightmare that I know at this point, okay, whenever there's a meet, make sure you got some
Yeah.
extra money on the side. But in
Mhm.
saying that, I have had like we had one call member, um, she had a tea event for her birthday. She didn't make people pay a deposit ahead of time to make sure everybody who said they were going to be there was going to be there. And that poor baby ended up having to come out of pocket $200
Oh,
because three people didn't show up or four people. Yeah, like, and it's
Happened to me.
it's
Yeah.
devastating. And especially when again we are not paid for this. We are not paid to do any of the things that we're doing. We're not paid for these events. We don't have an event planner fee that we're charging y'all when we tell you tickets are
yeah.
$20 or $30 or whatever. We're literally just trying to make sure we have enough to get this event off the ground, to pay
Mhm.
deposits, to pay for food, to make sure that there's enough food, to make
Mhm.
sure there's water, all of these things. And I feel like anybody who's hosted an event like that certainly understands, so they give you
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
more grace. But people who haven't have that misconception still to this day. And even to the point where, like, at one point I was like, I will send you receipts if that's what you really want.
Mhm.
You can have
Mhm.
an itemized receipt of everything that was purchased and paid for, and I can show you my bank account where
Yeah.
I spent out of pocket for these things, that kind of thing. So I just, yeah, please give us grace, because that probably is the biggest nightmare. Is just
I think
coming out of
also a lesson that I've learned is to give myself some grace and to be like I'm a cake decorator, and sometimes when I give someone a price, I get a little scared, like, please don't think this is too much, please pay me.
yeah,
And that's also what I have to bring into this is like, I spent this much money and they're getting favors, so here's the price, please pay for it. And people usually do, they do, but it is scary to as
yeah,
Yeah.
an event planner in general to be like, I hope people come. You just want
yeah,
people to come.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and have
think,
a good time. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want them to enjoy themselves, and that's really what it is. You just want that experience for everybody. I would have to say my second biggest nightmare for an event, and I feel like it may be more of a Texas thing than anything else. So y'all may agree, y'all may not. I don't know. But I'm just scared of, like, any type of, like, insane emergency, like a shooting, or somebody eats fish and they're deathly allergic, things like that. That also terrifies me.
Yeah.
Because I would hate for us to have a meet at, some mall or something, and then somebody just goes psycho and starts firing at people,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I will say
So
on the allergy, that's why we ask for allergies. The other thing
absolutely.
I hope never happens.
Yeah, see, that's why I was like, that's
Yeah.
definitely a nightmare. And that you never want to have to deal with that. You never want to have to be and the only reason why I say that is because I did experience that with my baby con. We had a
Mhm.
medical incident in the middle of the cosplay contest, and, like, it was, we got to do something. We have to move. We got
Yeah.
to, like, we can't be like, all of us at first were really shocked, and then I was like, no, like, we have to call the ambulance. Like,
Mhm.
this is a big deal. So I would say that's definitely a nightmare, because, there's nothing in the world that can prepare you for anything like that. And then on top of that, I'm not in the medical field. I barely know how to do CPR. I cannot save you if you're choking. Uh, so it's
Yeah.
like, oh, please don't, please. Oh, I hope this never happens. So I would have to say, but I also feel like that's more unrealistic, in that
Yeah.
the likelihood of that happening is very slim. But
Yeah.
definitely that's a nightmare. Just, you hope and pray nothing like that ever happens ever.
Mhm. Just
But it might. It might. Yeah.
Yeah.
how do you deal with very quiet attendees? So I don't know about y'all, but I like when we were talking about earlier with like having like stuff to do with your hands. I never want to pressure anyone to have to talk. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
um, if you really are just comfortable, just kind of coming and sitting there and just drinking your tea quietly, that's totally fine.
Mhm.
I would if someone's shy, we do group games, as we've said. We have a lot of like and they usually come from, like, office and baby showers, so they're meant to be really low energy and easy
Mhm.
to get into. So if
Yeah.
someone does wanna engage, I feel like they're usually pretty easy to slide into.
Yeah, I try to touch in with everybody just to make sure that people are comfortable and they're having a
Mhm.
good time. But to your point, yeah, there are some people that just want to come and watch
Mhm.
and be there, but not be extroverted, and that is absolutely okay. I never want to force someone into participating in a way that makes them uncomfortable. It's all about their level of comfort. So as long as they're okay being quiet and they're not just being quiet because they're scared or they don't know how to engage or they feel left out, that's when I would try to kind of help and talk to them and just make sure that if they want to be engaged with, they are. But yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I try to facilitate, conversations with as many people as possible at meetups and at events, especially if it's a newer person, because a lot of new people, there are already people in my community that have been there for 10 years. And so it's one of those things where a lot of people everybody does know each other, and
Mhm.
so when there are new people, it's like, oh, this is a new person, we don't really know them. um I would like to think my community is very warm and welcoming, in that even when there are new people, everybody makes it a goal to say, hey, how are you doing, da 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 da, that kind of thing. One thing that I like to do, especially like at this most recent meet that one of the other mods hosted, we had a trunk swap, so it was really cool.
Mhm.
And we had 2 or 3 new people attend. And so when it came time for everybody to take cord photos, I made it a personal goal to go to each person. Hey, do you want to take cord pictures? Do you need
Mm.
somebody to take cord pictures? I will take your phone and take pictures for you, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. Um, so that they feel like, they're an active participant. But I also realize I can be a lot. I'm very loud, I'm very what's the word, I'm very
Extroverted?
extroverted. There we go. I couldn't think of the word. Oh my god. I'm very loud. I'm very extroverted. So I do realize that as for some people who, like you said, they do just want that quiet, that peace. I can be a lot. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm probably overwhelming this person. Let me go over there. So always just a lot of times, and this is for even not Lolita things, but like no one will know how you're feeling if you don't clue us in on how you're feeling. You might think you're making an expression, or you might think that you're wearing this expression on your face that is clear cut and everybody can tell, but none of us are mind readers. We don't know. And so, yeah, if you need that quietness, that space to, some people don't want to be overstimulated. Always just be like, hey, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm going to go over here. And we have had people that have been, I'm going to go sit over here and chill out for a minute. And that's okay. Nobody's going to be like, oh my God, like, do you not like it? We don't know. Nobody's going to do that.
I
Because
think
we
we've
all,
said this where, like, we do think that it is a skill that we have to hone to, like, kinda, like, figure out, like, social nuances, but
yeah.
also we want you to feel comfortable with coming to
Mhm.
us.
Yep.
Exactly, exactly.
As
Yeah.
much as
So
being a mind reader would be very useful, like, sometimes you need a little privacy, and I would love it for you to feel okay to tell me these
yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
Is idol Lolita a thing, or do you think it's just a trend like bittersweet in the Tumblr days? Here's a silly one for us. And we also only have a couple more questions left, so we'll get through those and then we'll take any comments from the chat if anyone has one. Um, does anyone have any pressing comments on idol Lolita or bittersweet?
I
Uh,
think Lolita in general, we think about the main genres, right?
mhm,
But one thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand about Lolita, and it's also very hard to grasp, is that
Mhm,
it is not if I think about it, like this is the circle of what is considered Lolita. These are
mhm.
not hard edges. These are feathered edges.
Yeah,
It's they're like as you get out towards the edges, there's a lot of things that are kind of in this gray area of yeah, kind of sorta. And
mhm,
and so there's a lot of fun trendy subgenres that people talk about that do pop up and ultimately if it's Lolita it's Lolita
yeah,
um but if you want to call it idol Lolita, I mean you can call it whatever you want,
yeah,
it's
you
just
can.
clothes.
Yeah.
yeah. I actually had a panel on Lolita substyles,
Mhm,
and it's actually a topic of debate because some Lolitas feel like the substyles are classic, gothic, and sweet. That's it.
Mhm.
To me, I feel like there are decided substyles like sailor, because y'all know
Mhm.
that's my
mhm.
thing, where it's like, okay, this is a clear cut. These are the things that make what you're wearing Sailor Lolita. In saying that, I feel like bittersweet is something that sometimes the definition shifts. Some people feel like it's sweet Lolita in a black colorway, and that makes it bittersweet. Some people feel like there are different nuances to it, and so I think like Tiffany just said, like just wear what you want. You don't necessarily have to classify it. It might help you to classify it, You know, like when I wear Sailor, I do say, oh, this is my Sailor Lolita cord. But you know, it might help you find items if you're
Mhm.
trying to, you know, narrow it down to what you're looking for, because Idol Lolita to me has a very specific look to it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you don't have to get yourself caught up on what is it? Is it arrow? Does it
And
classify?
I
Yeah.
think there's like there's style and then there's theme, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
sometimes they overlap,
Yes.
but sometimes
Definitely.
they don't. And
Yeah.
so there's, one of the things is when we look at darker styles,
Mhm.
they could be, so the style could be sweet, but the theme could still be dark.
Oh,
And just because the colors are something, or just
mhm.
because it's a specific cut, or so there's so much kind of like interplay there
Mhm.
between the two. Personally, I think Idol is more of a theme than
Mhm.
necessarily a style.
I
uh,
agree.
but there's a lot of overlap there, and just if you think it's cute, wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, Idol Lolita has definitely become popular on, like, Taobao brands and
Mhm.
some, like, newer
Mhm.
Taobao brands, and like we said before, like, um, Tabo Lolita, like, a lot of them are emerging, so sometimes
Mhm.
there'll be one that's like, "Oh, we saw this is popular, we're gonna make a print." And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just people clinging on to what is trendy at the time, or maybe one makes one and someone goes, "Oh, is this a trend?" And maybe it actually isn't a trend, but
And
if
they
you
make
like it, you
dresses.
like it. If you yeah, if you even if it's a trend or not, even if people actually wear it or
Mhm.
not, if you see it and you're like, "I like that," then go for it. I want people to be happy with it, especially if you're spending money on clothes, I want you to be happy in them.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't have to label your clothes. That's
You
something
don't
that people spend so much time and effort trying to say, like, "Oh, I need to figure out what
Mhm,
is this called?" Or, debating on, should I hashtag this Lolita or not? And, you don't have to label your outfits. You don't have to say,
mhm,
this is this.
Mhm.
You can just say, I think this is cute. I'm gonna wear it.
mhm.
It makes me happy.
I
Yeah.
see that a lot in, like, newbies will ask this question, not
Mm,
not particularly in my comm, but maybe in, like, the Big Sister threads, the Big Sisters of Lolita fashion Facebook group, where they'll be like, I have to pick a style. Which one should I pick? And we're like, you don't have to.
mm,
The reason that people that is common advice where it's like pick one thing at first, and it's not
yes.
because you're not allowed to wear more than one style. It's literally just because of cost efficiency if you're just starting out. That's really it. But if you have the money and you can budget that and you have the closet space and you're like, I want to buy this black thing, I want to buy this pink thing, I want to buy this circus thing, go for it. But
Yeah.
we just tell people that so it's not so overwhelming at first. You can
Yeah.
literally do whatever you want. I can't stop you.
Yeah. And I think kind of that's kind of where all of these categories sort of came from, is to help newbies label or
Mhm.
figure out what fits that overall aesthetic and
Yeah.
what have you. You know, because again, in my example of like Sailor Lolita, like that is a distinct look, you know, and so somebody new is like, oh, it's a navy dress. That's it. That's all I need, you know? And so
Mhm.
it's like, okay, this is, you know, this is Sailor Lolita. You need anchors, you need stripes, you need blah blah blah,
Yeah.
blah, you
Mhm.
know, that kind of thing. So I think that that has more to do with it than anything else. And as you become more established within the fashion, as you get more experience, you know, you'll stop caring so much about what type of Lolita you're wearing. You're just wearing the dresses that you want to wear. You paid for it.
Yeah,
So
Mhm.
definitely.
yeah.
What should be the next goal after someone achieves the status of OG accessory? And
That's it. You're done. You have
yeah, I was
transcended.
there's nothing after that. That's it. You've
You beat
you're
the game.
you're finished. You
100%ed it.
yeah, I don't have anything after that. When you've reached that,
Yeah. I don't know either, honestly.
and then so we've reached the end of the submitted questions, and now if anyone in who's watching right now wants to put any in the comment box, go ahead and we'll try and answer you.
Yeah, I don't know that I will ever reach the epitome of OG accessory, but it is a goal of mine for sure. One day.
You being the OG accessory?
Yes, me. I want to be an OG accessory. It's so weird because everybody who knows me and
Mhm.
knows my style is like always so like big, fluffy, very feminine, very usually very sweet and that kind of thing. But there's a dark side in me that wants to be
Ooh.
the prince. I want to be the prince. I'm very tall and I'm also plus size, and that's always a challenge, right? With what is readily and easily available for OG. There are
Mhm.
options, they're just not as easy to come by sometimes, so
And that's the other thing, like, OG in general is not that much of it.
yeah, it's not
Mhm.
as, prolific,
Mhm.
prolific,
There's just less
whatever that word is.
options.
Yeah.
How can people and events help support local communities?
Hmm. So, for me, it's about engagement and awareness and just, the events that are in the area, for example, partnering with the communities because chances are there are people in the community that want to help with that event and likewise.
Mhm,
And, we were talking earlier about when communities put on events. Volunteer to help with that. If it's a big
mhm,
event,
Mhm.
volunteer to do what you can, maybe put together favors or maybe help coordinate something. But, any way that you can kind of engage with the leadership of the community,
mhm.
we are so, so happy to have you.
And I think all of us have worked with conventions, but
Mhm.
honestly, like,
Mhm.
when I have the best time is when I feel like the convention really wants me and it isn't just like, "You're free labor," that they really are like, "No, how can we help you?"
Yeah.
Right.
We can tell the difference too. 'Cause all of us have volunteered for free at conventions as well, and, uh, uh,
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
we've all done it, and honestly, the biggest thing is when they just really want to see our vision come come to fruition
Mhm.
with their help. What is a
Dream
dream event you want to happen in Texas if there no money issue?
I want to have one of those gigantic, opulent, crazy OTT tea parties like you
Like
see
they
like
have in
AP puts on in
Shanghai.
Shanghai. Yeah.
Oh my god,
For
I
everyone in
wish.
Europe who just has castles
In the
available?
There's
background,
a castle in
yeah!
Texas. There's one, like, somewhere in Central Texas that you can do events at
I think
because
it's
when I
near
was getting
y'all, isn't it, Olive?
Ye
That castle?
yeah, it's out over
Is
it's, like,
it?
between here and Houston, I think, or between
Mhm.
Austin and Houston because
Mhm.
when I was getting married, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should go get married at that castle that's out there." So you can rent it out and it's cool, but it's
Money.
expensive. So, yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, I
That
want
would be
Yeah.
one of
awesome though.
those events that I see, like, again, like, Lolita's in Europe. Y'all are so
Mhm.
lucky
I
'cause
wish.
there's castles there and there's
I
The
chandeliers.
venues
wish.
are just beautiful. Like, you got the paneled walls, like, the gilded
I
Yeah.
want an
accents,
event
like
with no less than 50 chandeliers. A chandelier per attendee.
Candy
flowers just, like, cascading down from
everywhere.
the
Oh my
ceiling.
god. Yeah,
Yeah.
those AP tea parties in Shanghai are just absolute Lolita goals. Like it blows my mind just like how awesome and opulent those events are. I freaking wish.
And that's the other thing, like,
We don't have the money for that, y'all. We're
go
poor.
going back on us, like, working with conventions sometimes, a lot of
Yeah.
times, like, they help us with the cost because 'cause they're
Mhm.
already paying for the hotel, so that's the
Yeah.
Yeah.
reason we're able to give y'all tea parties for
Mhm.
honestly really reasonable prices because hotels are very
Very
expensive.
expensive.
But sometimes we
Yeah.
have to deal with, like, well, the Marriott looks like this, which isn't
Yep.
isn't anyone's fault, that's just what the Marriott looks
Looks
like.
Yeah.
like.
But if I could
Mhm.
have a castle, I would have a
A
castle.
whole
Yeah, I
castle.
mean, we're
Yeah.
so dressed up and we have
Mhm.
all these beautiful outfits on. It's
Mhm.
sometimes so sad to like go stand in front of like this like particle board wall thing that is like ugly maroon color that clashes with it. It's like you
All hotels just look like
it's
that.
I know, like we
They
can't do
do.
anything about that. I
No,
mean,
we can't.
could like put drapes up, but again, that's very
Drapes are
expensive to
very
do
expensive.
too.
Mhm.
So we do what we can with what we, and that's one of the things when I'm scoping out venues, I'm always looking at the aesthetics and I'm trying
Mhm.
to find, if the venue has at least like one place that would be great for cord shots because we all want that. We want those
Right.
cute, awesome backgrounds. And it's so hard to find that within a
Mhm.
budget that's reasonable for like a bunch of volunteer people.
That's the other thing is
Exactly.
even if we're at, like, just like conventions, we're balling on a budget there, and, like, I see, like, suggested, dream is a really pretty forest theme, and, like, if we were able
Ooh.
to have, like, just plants everywhere, like
Mm.
but
That is
again,
expensive.
flowers are expensive.
Super expensive. They're
Having
so
just got
expensive.
married and paid for that wedding, let me tell you,
Yeah,
is
like it's
bad.
ooh, so much money. So
Texas and yes, Texas is hot, and that's the other
mhm.
thing, it's like,
Mhm.
I would love a garden party,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that would be
of just
amazing.
this beautiful, like,
And I mean, Houston's
Versailles
a
garden
swamp,
party.
so, like, unless the theme is, like, Shrek themed, which I know there are a
Mhm.
lot of people who would be really into
That's a
that,
good
by the way,
idea.
it's
That's my dream tea
kinda
party.
it's kinda swampy, so
Dream event, n money's not an issue, Shrek. I
do it
would
in Houston.
hire Mike Myers to come, and we all take photos with Mike Myers dressed as an OG prince.
Yeah. Oh,
That's my
that's
answer.
that's another thing that I'd like to do more at events is have,
Mhm.
like, fashion shows or fashion guests,
Yeah.
bringing guests to
It's
event.
so that eats up the budget.
Oh my
No,
There's nothing left
hell
goodness.
after
no.
that. They're like, "Okay, we have 1 guest, so here use $20 and a Taco Bell coupon booklet
Exactly.
for the rest of the everything?"
Oh, and you have
Yeah.
to pick them up and take them wherever they wanna go.
Yes.
Like, it's
Yes.
wild, y'all. Yeah, I would love to have, like, one of those gigantic AP Shanghai, like, tea party style things, or, especially because I've gone to Paradiso, in,
Mm.
Kansas City and stuff, being at having Lolita events at a con, and being at a fashion specific event are two very, very different experiences.
Mhm.
And I encourage every single Lolita ever in the world to try to go to those fashion specific events because it is such a different experience, than an
Yeah.
anime convention. Kind of like what Olive said, a lot of us latch onto these cons because they are the only ones who can foot the bill of what we are trying to do. And they also, it's a mutual partnership where they're like,
Mhm.
okay, this community, there's clearly a lot of y'all, clearly y'all got money because you're buying $300 dresses for fun. And so
Oh, I think she
Oh,
froze.
no,
I
Jerica
got
froze, I
scared.
think.
Let's give her a second, see if she comes.
Yeah, I thought it was just me too.
I was
Oh,
like,
no.
"I froze, oh no."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I really wish we could do all of those crazy things. It's really silly, but one of my nighttime as I'm falling asleep and I want to dream about things kind of dream is that I suddenly get this insane amount of money. And the first thing I always think about doing is like all of the events that I could host as a com mod. Like if I had endless funds, oh boy, you guys.
one of my dreams, it's more like a personal dream that comes
Mhm.
into, I guess, my dream meet would be like,
Mhm.
I have the dream of, like, I am so rich that I can afford to have a mansion, and then
Yes.
I can just host people at my mansion
Yes. Exactly. Oh man, that would be so
for a
great.
low, low fee of
No.
amount of money a day, you can fund my mansion,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
will let you come to my Shrek meetups.
if anybody in the comm wants to be the sugar parent of the community events and just foot the bill, and I'm more than happy to put them together and coordinate and do the thing. You
I
know?
won't say no. All right, it looks like we are coming to a close if no one has any other questions. I'm sad we lost Jerica. Hopefully we get her back. But I do want to give a special shout out to Okashicon for helping facilitate this. That goes in like, how can people and events help support local communities? Okashicon is a great help with
gosh.
Jerica!
Jerica's
I
back.
just like gave up on life. It was like, I'm out. I'm done. Clocking out early.
I was
I'm so
just giving a special shout out for Okashicon for helping us with this event and helping
Oh
facilitate.
yes, absolutely.
Again, we were talking about like, yeah, a lot of times conventions foot the bill because they're already there. And Okashicon has been so grateful to be like, we want to invest specifically in J fashion. So what do you
Right.
want to do? We will help.
Yeah. And so like that's important, but that's also why we're associated with these cons. So because I know that's a question for a lot of our international folks is like, why are all the J fashion events at cons? Like what's going on here? But yeah, if money wasn't a an issue or anything like that, absolutely I would have an event like Parody. So like the Royal Vegas retreat where it's just like, okay, let's bring a lot of brands. Let's have fashion shows. Let's have designers. Let's have guests. Like, let's do that. And you would think in Texas we would have something like that because, we're one of the bigger states. So we have enough Lolitas to do so, but it's expensive. Like,
We all
super
have
expensive.
jobs. And again,
Yeah.
if there's a convention that's their job to do that,
I'm going to let them do it.
we're all people, real people in real life.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms with being like, you can do it and I'll help.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and
thank you
I want to thank my fellow mods here, Susie and Jerica, for joining me and answering all y'all's fantastic questions. And again, thank you to Okashicon for hosting us.
Yeah, thanks, Okashicon.
Yes, thank you all so much.
Thank
this was
you,
a
everyone.
fantastic time.
We had a lot of fun.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. This is Peter the Hero. Where, everybody have happy holidays, okay? Stay safe, wash your hands. Yeah. All right.